Hey guys, what is up? Kit here of Burn 1 with the Shadowverse Evolved channel, bringing you another deck profile from Cosmic Mythos. The set just dropped this past weekend, and we have Aggro Hero Sword here. This is probably one of the premium aggressive decks to be playing. It's fast, it hits hard and quick, and you just close out games too fast for your opponent to even get their game plan off the ground. So let's just get right into this deck profile. Alright, so here's the deck. We'll just get right into it and I'll explain some of my reasoning on some of these picks that might look a little awkward. Obviously, we're on Heroic Sword, so we're still playing our 1-drop 2/2 Goblin hero, but that also, if we have 2 hero cards in a cemetery, it gets +1 in ward. Very powerful, solid card all around. No complaints here. We are still playing Ninja Trainee. It is an officer, which also helps with our Mars Silent Flame General when we want more officers to get pumped by her. But the big thing here is why we're playing Ninja Trainee. If you look here at all our 1-drops, we are so heavy on the 1-drops. Why is that? Because turn 1 we want to play Goblin, turn 2 we want to play 2 more Goblins, making it very hard for our opponent to clear our whole board, which means we're going to start swinging in for 2 to 4 every turn moving forward, making it very awkward for our opponent to deal with that type of board. And that also helps with our Unbridled Fury if we open it up early, meaning we can just remove some of their responses on 2 and 3 using Unbridled Fury. On top of that, we want to just get in as many little pot shots as we can early on. That's why I feel like right now, after talking it with some of my teammates here, we figured that going wide and hard early is more beneficial than playing actual 2-drops like Luminous Night that can just be answered by a lot of things already anyway. And it makes it harder for our opponent to deal with 3 things instead of just 2. So that's one of the main reasons we are so heavy on these 1-drops and bringing back Ninja Trainee. It does get buffed by Mars, which is a nice side effect of it. Otherwise, it's very good. If you don't like Ninja Trainee, you can just replace 3 Ninja Trainee with Luminous Night and just call it a day if you like that, or with Latham if you prefer that as well. Playing 3 of the Old Man, Old Woman. If you haven't been playing this in set 3, I don't know why you're playing Sword. This is such a solid 1-drop. Presenting this on key turns on the board before our opponent is playing something big that they want to like swing with makes it awkward for them because they have to deal with this card immediately because it has Bane, meaning you might delay something big 1 turn because they don't want to waste their big 1-turn play that just gets removed by a 1-cost follower. And getting there for 1/2 is not bad. Perseus, another sword goblin here that has an upside randomly. If you have 4 followers on the board, it becomes a 3/3 solid card all around. What can I say? Only thing I wish was if it was also a officer, that'd be pretty sick because it'll be in combo with Mars as well. But it is not, unfortunately. Quickblader, we're playing Mars. Having Quickblader as like a 2 of, even 3 of in this deck is totally fine because there are a lot of plays I feel like on turn 3, if you have Mars in hand and no other storm and you want to start pressuring their life total even more, Mars on 4, so you play Mars Evo for 0, pay 1 play point, get a Quickblader out, and we're swinging in for 2 immediately. So we have a 4/3 and a 2/1 on the board. It seems pretty solid for 4 play points with Mars, and we are playing 2 Mars Evo. Putting Mars on the board too is really annoying because any officer after that is just going to get buffed more and more, and a lot of our storm followers are officers. Swordsman acts as another goblin here. Also lets you interact with your opponent's board so we can rest things and make sure we just trade our followers in to things that we need to get rid of as soon as possible. Though with this type of build, I feel like you're not going to be doing that too often because you're going to make them trade into you more likely than not. This is in here more as another 1-drop goblin because we just need it to have 2 attack and come out on turn 1. Unbridled Fury is a 2 of, like I said in the past heroic build. I feel like not having it as a 3 of is totally okay. I kind of only want to see this once a game because our game plan here really is we want to win by turn 6 or 7 or even 5 if our opponent like slips up and they're too slow to deal with our board states. So we don't want to get clogged with too many Unbridled Furies, but we do want to see one, so it as a 2 of feels good. We're obvious on heroics, so we need all the good heroic packages. Amuro Spear Knight is in here. This is how we can loop a lot of our 3-drops, bring back our storm followers for Mock Knights using or even using heroic entry again. Because of how aggressive this deck is, we want to find value where we can when playing Armoro Spear Knight. So a lot of times you want to wait to be able to combo with Valiant Fencer. The fact too that we have so many 1-drops means we can dump our hand a lot early, get into turn 5 of Valiant Fencer into Armoro Spear Knight, Evo point, Evo Valiant Fencer, Evo Spear Knight, bring back another Stormfaller, and now we have a board built again. That's the main thing you want to be doing with these Evos. You can't just be throwing them out willy-nilly. But you know, these cards just work so well together. That's what you want to be doing any opportunity you have the chance to. Floral Fencer, poster board of Sword. I feel like there's no reason to really talk about this too much. It is just going to be a staple a lot of times. 2 of the Evo, obviously. I didn't mention though, we do play 2 of the Spear Knight, Amuro, and the Evo deck. We just do a solid 2-2 across 2-2-2-2-2 across the board for our Evos. Mock Knight, this is the main reason you want to be playing Heroic Sword. Heroic entry with Mock Knight is busted. Sometimes on turn 3 with Evo point, you get a 5/5 Storm Follower, because if it comes into play from anywhere other than your hand, it gains Storm. On Evo, if you have 2 heroic cards in your graveyard or cemetery, you get to deal 4 damage to something. If not, you still deal 2 damage. So this can clear some boards, clear some followers, and then becomes a 4/4 Storm. But if you used heroic entry to get this into play, it's a 5/5 Storm. A lot of times on turn 3 with the Evo point, if it's and you hit this, you've kind of won the game on the spot. That's just so much damage, such a big follower they have to deal with, and they lost something on the board 99% of the time. All right, Mars Silent Flame General is a very solid card. I really like this card because it adds some consistency. Gets into the late game, we can start pulling followers out of our deck. The main follower obviously we'll be pulling out of our deck is Mock Knight, which is a very strong card. Other than that, we have Novice Trooper, which will also get the buff because it's an officer. So we get on the Evo here, we'll spend the 3 extra points on 6, pull it out, and we get 2 4/3s immediately on the board, one of them having Storm, which is obnoxious. And like I said, Mars has the effect of whenever an officer follower is put onto your field, you give it +1 attack, which means that she's basically a banner for your officers, once again, for your Swordcraft followers, which means your opponent has to deal with this. Otherwise, you can just, you know, snowball with extra damage here or there, and then they'll just lose the game immediately. Novice Trooper is back as a 3 of because we're hyper aggressive here. It combos very well with Flame Knight, Flame General, Silent Flame General, and it's very good off of heroic entry as a subpar Storm turn 3 play. It's like you just played it from hand anyway when you need to get another heroic card into the bin. It's just a solid card all around. It combos with everything we want to be doing. It's in line with our game plan. We just want to do damage as fast as possible, make our opponent trade into us, and win the game between turns 5 and 7. Valiant Fencer, like I said earlier, very solid card. This lets us search out heroic entries, our Armoro Knights. A lot of times you'll be playing this, search out Armoro Knight, play Armoro Knight, Evo Valiant Fencer, Evo Armoro Spear Knight, and then play either a heroic entry or a Mock Knight from the grave for free. It's just such a good combo. It puts so much pressure on the board immediately. You get a Storm Follower, you have a 5/5, and then sometimes a 4/4 if you Evo and swing in with Armoro Spear Knight. Armoro Spear Knight can just kind of snowball too if they kind of ignore it. You just put so many huge threats on the board immediately because, one, if they don't deal with Armoro Spear Knight, it can slowly snowball the game. Valiant Fencer on Evo is a 5/5, which we are playing as a 2 of, which is very scary, on top of Mock Knight if it stays on the board and you're still able to Evo it, which means you're going to be dealing 4 damage to something the next turn. So it's just 3 hyper annoying cards your opponent has to deal with, all of them being super powerful individually, which means if any of them stay on the board, you are in such a great spot. Finally, the whole reason to basically be playing heroic craft aggro, that is, or whatever, is this heroic entry is just busted. You look at the top 4 cards of your deck, you pick a 3 play point or less follower from among them, put it onto the field. This is why we have so many 3-drop followers in this. All our 3-drop followers are just very powerful and do a lot of crazy things on their own, which means even if we play this card and only hit we don't hit Mock Knight, that is, at least we get some value on any of our 3-drops because they're all so good. On top of that, if you do hit a heroic follower off of this, it gets +1/+1, making things like Mock Knight a 5/5 Storm, which is insanely busted on 3. So hopefully this makes sense. The game plan, you want to go hyper aggressive, go all in on just ending your game on turns 5, 6, and 7. That's like the key time you win the games a lot of the time. Sometimes you win the game on turn 3 because your opponent just can't deal with a Mock Knight Evo on turn 3 off of heroic entry, which is obnoxious. So yeah, if you're looking to be super hyper aggressive in this format and just make your opponent play at your tempo, this is the deck for you. I think this is the premium aggro deck to be playing just because it's just solid all around. It does have room to be edited a little bit too. So if you want something like Leo at the top end still, you can make it work that way. You can play Tachyon if you feel like you want to play Tachyon still. You can play anything in the top end with this deck and it'll still be very solid overall. So it's very flexible for anyone who wants to like make it their own. But personally right now, this is the version I'm enjoying. I implore you to try it out and let me know how it goes at your locals. Ending people's lives on turn 5 feels pretty good sometimes. So with that being said, I hope you like this deck profile. If you're still here, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and all that. And we'll see you in the next video. Later.